welcome to Tyrone Bowman Live. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the conversation on tonight. As I'm getting started on this evening, there is a lot happening throughout the nation and within the world as a whole. I'm going to be talking about this particular article that I found in USA Today online. The headline reads, President Biden considers preemptive pardons amid concerns over Trump revenge tour. As we all know, President-elect Donald Trump has vowed revenge against his political enemies once he assumes power on January 1 of 2025. So let's get down to this article on tonight as reported in the Watch of USA Today. President Joe Biden's senior aides are discussing potential preemptive pardons for individuals they fear President-elect Donald Trump and his incoming administration might target for criminal investigations and prosecutions after taking office, according to a source familiar with the conversations. The discussions, first reported by Politico, come amid Biden's broadly worded pardon this week for Hunter Biden, which was made not only to reprieve his son for existing gun and tax felonies, but to shield him from potential future charges by Trump's Justice Department. Some Democratic lawmakers, led by U.S. Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts, are publicly advocating for the pre-pardons, alarmed by Trump's repeated past threats to prosecute his political enemies and his recent pick of longtime ally Kash Patel to replace Christopher Wray as director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They note that anyone facing an FBI investigation or federal indictment could be forced to spend significant time and money defending themselves, and where the risk of prison time is real in the event of a conviction. But other Democrats, already upset by Biden pardoning his son after he promised he wouldn't, say preemptive pardons aren't necessary and warn it could set a dangerous precedent. Those who could be on a pre-pardon list include retired General Mark Milley, who Trump has called a traitor worthy of the death penalty, former Republican Representative Liz Cheney, who Trump has said should go to jail for her role on the House committee that investigated the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, Dr. Anthony Fauci, a frequent target of Republican lawmakers over his work during the U.S. response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and Senator-elect Adam Schiff of California, who Trump has referred to as the enemy within for his leading role while serving in the House of Representatives during Trump's first impeachment. Well, I can unequivocally say that none of these people are going to be charged with anything, and they're not going to prison, and especially Senator-elect Adam Schiff of California. Yet the possibility of pre-pardoning people who have not been charged of any crimes raises several legal concerns that could ultimately sway Biden not to take action, according to legal experts and lawmakers. Well, wasn't it legal experts, so-called experts, who predicted that Kamala Harris was going to win the election? So I put no stock in what the so-called legal experts have to say, none whatsoever. Accepting a pardon carries with it the suggestion of accepting guilt, and some Democrats worry Biden would set a new precedent for pardons, opening the door for Trump to take the similar actions. He's going to take them anyway. You know, sometimes people who write articles should really think about what they write before they write it. He's going to reward his friends and punish his enemies. That's it. To the victor goes the spoils of war. The party in power gets to set the laws, gets to change the laws, get to do what they want to do. It's certainly something to consider, said Olivia Troyer, a former counterterrorism White House advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, who has turned into a vocal critic of Trump this week. Troyer was threatened with legal action in a letter from Patel's attorney over critical comments Troyer recently made about him on television. I guess my opinion is, or I guess my question is, I have not done anything wrong. I know that. And I know that many of us who have just spoken the truth, all we are doing is speaking the truth, Troyer said in a Thursday interview on CNN. A White House spokesperson declined to comment, but did not deny that internal discussions have taken place. Sometimes you have to shield people from impending danger. That's the bottom line. In response to Biden considering preemptive pardons, Trump's transition spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt said, unlike Joe Biden, President Trump will not weaponize the justice system against his political opponents. Do you believe that lie? I don't believe nothing that comes out of that woman's mouth. Do you really think we're going to believe anything that they say? Jeffrey Crouch, an assistant professor of politics at American University, an expert on the presidential pardon power, said the president can grant executive clemency as soon as a federal crime is committed and does not need to wait until someone is charged, tried, or convicted. Crouch said it unclear whether recipients of potential preemptive pardons would be admitting guilt, calling it uncharted waters. But he warned that granting pardons under the circumstances being discussed could weaponize clemency and stray wildly beyond the intended use of presidential clemency power. Well, governors, let me tell you something. Those who are elected governors of states have a lot of power, and they can grant preemptive pardons. They give pardons all the time. They grant clemency to people all the time. So what's the problem with Biden if he chooses to grant preemptive pardons? A constitutional power designed to dispense official forgiveness will have evolved into a catch-all provision for shielding political cronies or critics, he said. This is far from what the framers of the Constitution had in mind for presidential pardons. Politico reported deliberations had been led by White House counsel Ed Sisko and involved several top aides, including Chief of Staff Jeff Zients. Markey, in an interview last week with WGBH Public Radio in Boston, said he believes without question that Trump will try to act in a dictatorial way, in a fastic way, in a revengeful way, his first year towards individuals who he believes harmed him. If it's clear by January 19th that revenge is his intention, Markey added, then I would recommend to President Biden that he provide those preemptive pardons to people because that's really what our country is going to need next year. Senator John Tesler, Democrat from Montana, who lost his re-election bid last month, expressed openness to preemptive pardons. What I would do is take a look and see if they are meritorious. Tesler told USA Today, if they're meritorious, that's fine. If they're not, no. But Tesler added that his input is not as near as effective as it was before the election. Other Democrats said they oppose pardoning individuals not yet charged with crimes. I just haven't heard a good case to make for pardoning behavior that hasn't yet been committed or hasn't yet been defined, said Senator Tim Kaine, a Democrat from Virginia, who is among several Democrats critical of Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden. That's why y'all lost the election. This is the main reason why the pathetic, weak, whimsical Democrats lost the election. Because you won't use the power that you have. Your enemies will use the power against you, but you all are afraid to use it. Why? What is the problem here? If I were a president and if I chose to pardon individuals preemptively, it's done. There's no deliberation. We're not going to keep talking about it over and over and over again. When I was a governor, I had pardon power, used in the individual cases to grant pardons to people who have been convicted, added Kaine, who served as Virginia's chief executive from 2006 to 2010. For example, they're innocent and they've done things to rehabilitate them. The idea of us just kind of general vague pardon for unknown activities that haven't been charged, that is so susceptible to abuse. A former senior Justice Department official told USA Today the pardons would set a really bad precedent, so I hope he doesn't do it. Well, I hope President Biden does do it. because there's a lot coming down the pike, and people can sit back and think that this is going to be a game if they want to. Never surrender, never quit.